Welcome to the Let Him Cook podcast. I'm Dylan Coon with my co-host Nigel Dyson. Straight off the season opener, a big win, and ready to chop up some ball, talk some hoop. Happy to be here, Nigel. Just give me your broad thoughts on that season opener. I can't imagine a better way to start the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think too, with just the to open up the year, I think we couldn't have a more Iowa State win. I think, with Green Bay being one of the lower teams in tiers of Division One basketball this year. Obviously they're under a new coach, but nonetheless, just one of those lower competitive games. I think the fact that we only scored 85 points, but you still win by 40. I mean, it was a great testament to what this team's brand of basketball is going to be. And again, just like last year, it's going to be typical grit and grind defense. I just think we're going to be able to shoot a bit better this year, obviously, given the performances.
And yeah, just a fair warning on the great win. Green Bay, new coach, projected to finish last in the Horizon League, which is not a power conference, not known for their basketball teams, but a great win nonetheless. And the thing I worry about always is, can a team get up for a game like this? It's easy to get up for Kansas. It's easy to get up for Texas. Can you come in and just take care of business in a team like Green Bay, where the fear is like, do you play down to their level?
Mhm.
And I think getting off, I think it was 16-3 at the 16-minute mark in the first half. And at that point, it was like, okay, I don't think I'll have to worry at all about the outcome of this game. I do want to shout out Green Bay's head coach, Sundance Wicks.
What a name.
Great name, great fashion on the sideline. Looked like Dr. Jack Ramsey, Portland Trailblazers coach. The plaid suit. I mean, that guy was ready for his first game. So shout out to him. His team, not so much. Maybe they'll find their footing later on, but a great win by Iowa State. And I want to start with I don't know if I'd call it a surprise. I was surprised with the starting lineup. I just didn't expect Momcilovic to start. Looked great,
Mhm.
and I didn't expect Ward to start. Are you feeling the same way? Did you expect those guys to start?
No, Ward, yes. I wasn't surprised by Ward, but Milan, no. I
Yeah.
was really just shocked that he was starting, obviously, but then also to see the game he had, I'm like, oh, we got a stretch this year. Like he's a stretch,
Yeah.
He I he's the Midwest Dirk Nowitzki.
Yeah.
He proved that yesterday, and I think that was the big eye opener. Was just like he I think, a lot of people were disappointed with Omaha's, I guess, underwhelming performance, but given the foul trouble, I think they're the yin and yang of the playing excited in your first college basketball. I think Milan kind of had the perfect first game,
Right.
shooting 6 of 7 from three, and
Mm.
then Omaha, due to foul trouble, has to not only come off the bench but be limited to minutes, and I think it's too, like, it shows Omaha's angst and want to play for this team. I know yesterday he told TJ, like, I've been waiting for this moment for a long time, and he grew up watching Iowa State. So I could only imagine the kind of pressure he was kind of putting on himself, probably just being young and inexperienced. But I think too, just seeing that, the freshmen were out there and they were just excited to be in that moment. I think it gave life to these older guys that have kind of already been in that moment in previous years.
And Milan looked like the best thing out of Wisconsin since cheese curds. He like hit. I mean, he was
Hey, what
making,
about Tyrese Halliburton? We can't,
and
can't do
they
my man
both were at
Tyrese like that.
22. They both were 22.
Yeah,
Uh,
what about 22, man?
Hey, looks nice on shooters, and I mean, he knocked those first couple down. That's a nice shot.
Mhm.
It's not like Tyrese's shot where, like, is that gonna work? Which it
Yeah.
does, still does. He's got a good looking shot. He sets his feet. He even had some, I mean, off balance threes that found the bucket. He had a complete heat check, and if that would have gone in, his one miss from 3-point land, I think it would have been an early explosion from the Hilton crowd in the
Oh,
season
yeah.
of just like, what the hell? And then, yeah, the inverse is Omaha. A lot of foul trouble, 3 fouls in the first half. I don't think he ever got into his rhythm. And also those fouls, it wasn't like he was making bad plays. I think, those almost every single one in the first half was a 50-50 call. I'd rather see plays like that not get called for fouls, but
Mhm.
if it was up to me, very few fouls would be called in the game of basketball. But he'll find his footing. He looked good on defense. He had good post ups. That was one thing I was kind of curious to see. Is he going to be a perimeter player? Is he going to be able to go down low and play out of the post? And it looked like he was comfortable down there. Had some good post moves and just didn't finish all of his looks. But a lot of promise from these two freshmen. And then another guy I want to highlight right off the top, Keyshawn Gilbert is a bucket. I mean, he has that first step. And I know, again, this is playing Green Bay. We haven't seen these guys play against top tier athletes yet, but his first step on the perimeter, whew, like, I mean, we haven't had a guy that can move like that out there in a minute and can make his own shot. And then looked aggressive on defense too. That's where I was
Mhm.
kind of concerned, is he can be able to lock in on defense, but it looked like he was throughout the game.
Yeah, and I think his strength, like his physical stature, it gives him that advantage. But
Yeah,
that's where in our last episode where I talked about, wanting to compare him to John Morant, I think that quick first step is what puts him at we froze for a second. I was a little
yeah, we're
confused.
good. We're good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, like I was saying, the John Morant comparison, that's where I kind of was getting at, was that quick
Right.
step and the ability to just get to the rack by any means. I don't know if he has the kind of out of control bounce that Ja has. Maybe we'll see that in a more higher adrenaline filled game than Green Bay. But he showed great spurts. He showed that he's going to kind of fill in that Jaron Holmes role, being able to score and just being an older presence on the floor. I think it helps Taman, who, despite being experienced now, he's still young.
Right.
So I think it's going to help to have someone to feed off of. And Taman had a great game as well. So how would you kind of say Taman's performance was today, yesterday against Green Bay?
I mean, I think what everyone wanted to see was him not only hit shots but be willing to take shots, and he is technically leading the country in 3-point percentage as of now. 2 for 2, 100%. Can't get much better than that. Again, and like I think he'll be in triple double watch in a lot of games, and it'll be. I mean, he's not going to put up like 25, 12, and 12. It's going to be
Right.
like 12, 10, and 11. I mean, it's going to be a lot. If he does get a triple double, I'd expect it to be something like that. But still getting offensive boards, still running the offense, and then yeah, I mean he was, when he shot it, he wanted to shoot. I mean, he looked comfortable getting that shot off. He looked like that was his first thought, was I'm going to shoot this 3-point ball, and that's what we need out of him. If as soon as he starts to hesitate, I think that's where mentally that can kind of start to hurt your percentage. But looked
Mhm.
really polished last night. And it looked like the game, and even towards the end of last year, I think early his freshman year, he got sped up.
Mhm.
And in high school, he was so good at just a master class of controlling the pace. As soon
Mhm.
as Ames High School started to get out of touch, he would just slow things down and just pick apart a defense. And I think that is his ceiling. Like, I think that he'll be able to do that at the college level, probably as a junior or senior. Maybe in flashes of this year, we'll see him really be able to dictate that offense and just kind of control the pace of a game. And that's huge. Especially if we are, again, there's a big precaution. There's a big preface. I don't know if we shoot over 40% of the team from 3-point every night. I'm going to guess no. But I mean, if we're this solid on half court offense and we have that good of a point guard, we are going to be a tough team to beat. I mean, this was about as good as a start as I can think to the season. I mean, Momcilovic, Taman looked good. Is there anyone else that you were kind of blown away by as a debut?
Um, Not really. I
Yeah.
was I was expecting a bit more out of Ward,
Yeah.
you know, but nonetheless, you know, everyone else kind of did what they had to do, in spurts. Demario Watson had a good game, I'd say. Just getting his again, it's like I feel like for guys who have played already, that first game, you got to kind of get your win back, despite how long you've been practicing in the offseason. Just that extra anxiety of the first game is going to add some extra, like, just every step feels heavier. Every rotation feels like it's a bit harder. And again, when you're playing to a team, you got to kind of play down to a team like Green Bay. I mean, it's easy to take plays off,
Yeah.
so to do things hard in the right way, and the way I know TJ wants his program to be run, I think that's the big mental obstacle, like we talked about, to get past in this game. But someone I do want to see better out of is Curtis Jones. I know
Yeah.
he did a great job shooting the ball when he was in the Bahamas. However, 0 of 5 from 3 against a team like this, I would like to see something, a bit better number wise, 2 of 9 from the field. But, you just hope that this is, despite it not being, you not seeing the ball get to the basket, especially from the perimeter from him, that confidence stays. Because the fact that he's putting up 5 threes, I mean, people are telling him to shoot, he wants to shoot. So, I I think once he gets going, I don't think between Gilbert, Jones, Taman, Milan. I mean, if Ward can get a 3 ball, we're dangerous. So I really think this team's gonna be promising from the perimeter.
And it's so promising is a great word. Some of these guys are going to be able to have nights off. It felt
Mhm.
like last year, if we had, if 2 of our 3 guys, Jaron Holmes, Kalsher, and Grill, if one of those guys had an off game, we really struggled scoring. But we have so many weapons this year. I think we're going to have games that will win, and you'll see an off night from Curtis Jones, or you'll see an off night from Omaha. But hopefully we have enough scoring where we can kind of have those off games. Different guys can step up in different games, and we're not asking 3 guys, "Hey, we need 15 points from you a game, or we're probably going to lose." I mean, to
Right.
have this many weapons, it's just kind of new ground in this Altenberger campaign, to have this many offensive weapons. And what a luxury, because
Right.
yeah, we didn't see a perfect game last night, and the first half was really solid, but yeah, guys had off nights. Um, Big Rob energy was really good around the rim. That
Yeah.
looked promising. He looked confident.
I like the
Um,
arm sleeve.
yeah, yeah,
He's he got some VC this offseason. I
yeah.
like it. I like it.
Went to the VC shop, got some new accessories.
I
Uh,
see he's even tatted now too. So he definitely spent some time in the VC shop.
uh, Spent some time in the gym too. I mean, he
Oh
looked
yeah,
good out there. He looked
yeah,
good, and I think that's a big deal. He's going to be a leader, even if he does end up coming off the bench most of these games. I think just the energy he brings, no pun intended with Big Rob energy, but that's huge. And if our rotation stays the same, and having Rob Jones, Omaha, and Curtis Jones as the 3 guys off the bench, that's tough, man. I mean, it's not like a Kentucky platoon swap from like the 2011, 2012 days, but that's nasty. I mean, you get 5 really good starters, and then you have 2 guys that have seen it all in college basketball and a 5-star All-American off the bench. That's tough. I mean, they're coming in probably at the under 16 when the other team is starting to kind of run out of breath, and you bring those guys on. That's going to get some play in the Big 12, really deep. And I think, you never anticipate injuries, but even if we do see some, you're going to see bumps and bruises. And I think we have enough guys to kind of back that first line up, and we'll be fine. We're deep. I mean, we're deep everywhere.
right. What were your thoughts on Caden Fish and Jackson? I know they came off the bench too. Didn't have the most prolific game
Right.
yesterday, but I mean, what do you think their roles can be going on in the season?
Like I said, like if we have a front court injury, which I don't wish on anyone, I don't hope for, but just I know how physical the Big 12 is. I'm expecting a couple guys are going to miss games. Caden Fish, I think, can really do some stuff. I mean, he was like holding on. I think there's a minute left. We're up by 40, and he's not letting go of a jump ball. Like, I mean, he was down there on the court like it was a fumble, and he's not letting go. I mean, he's got some nastiness to him, and I like that. He looks like he's ready to play like some grown man basketball, and that's what we're going to need out of him. Pav, I don't know. He is a little smaller than I thought he was going to be, just stature wise. And again, we're going to be playing against a lot of long, athletic Big 12 players. So I wonder about him, if he'll be able to kind of get to his shot the same way he did at Wofford. But I mean, he had a couple points. He already showed that he can do more than just a 3-point shot. He had a good contested layup kind of in the middle of the paint towards the end of the game. So again, I think they will probably only play either at the end of games when we're doing really well, or if injuries happen. But I think those guys can play. But again, I think their minutes they'll be tough to come by. But I mean, for the future though, Caden Fish I think could really be a pillar in years to come. And I think, he's not someone, at least right now, that I think is going to leave early for the NBA. So we could be
Right.
getting 4 to 5 years out of Caden Fish. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
he looks
definitely gonna be
promising.
like the glue guy
Right.
for like years to come.
Yeah.
Like despite how old he gets, I think that's still gonna be his role of just like his old reliable is just hustle,
Yep.
knowing the ins and outs of the defense and whatnot. And I think that's gonna do wonders for rosters in years to come.
And like he was on the same AAU team as Omaha, and
Mhm.
like I don't know him personally, but I would imagine if they have some chemistry, it's probably nice for him to know a guy coming into Iowa State and to have some relationships built.
Right.
And that's good for Omaha too. I mean, I think it's tough coming in as a freshman. A lot of these guys know each other at least a little bit. Most of them are older than you. I think like it's like going to a new school, like you're trying to fit in, and to
Yeah.
kind of have someone that you already know and you know what they do on a basketball court. I think that just helps kind of like from a mental aspect of it of like, okay, yeah, like I know what you're about, like I got it.
One question I wanted to bring up to you. I kind of talked to Nick Osen about this a few months ago. I know he has a good relationship with Omaha. Did a lot of covering him and just his decision to Iowa State. Then once he committed, he continued to cover him throughout the process of him just finishing out his time at Waukee. But do you think a part of his Omaha's play yesterday of like we talked about that eagerness of just ticky tack fouls? Also, too, this season the refs made it clear that they're going to be calling games tighter. I know they're making a huge charge call, which is going to
Yeah.
probably affect us in the negative. But my question is pertaining to Omaha, but do you think him being the first 5-star recruit, he's obviously been in Ames since June, so from August to now, I know he probably can't walk to class without people wanting pictures,
Right.
people wanting, especially the fact that the magnifying glass is you're an Iowa native, meaning in state, everyone knows you. So do you think that, you know, all that attention, all that hype, all that building up to the season being right around the corner kind of played into the mental aspect of that pressure he kind of probably put on himself to put himself in that situation yesterday?
Yeah, I think it's almost, I mean, it's hard not to. I can't imagine that pressure. I've never, how do you put yourself in someone's shoes where, yeah, you're this 18-year-old phenom, the biggest recruit in school history. But I think you have to rely on your staff and your teammates to kind of humble you in a good way. I mean,
Mhm.
he is as good as advertised. There's no doubt about it. But to be like, all right, like just play your game. Don't try to, you don't have to be on SportsCenter top 10 every night. Like the NBA is going to be there. Just like, buy in, do what you're good at, and that's what we need you to do. Like,
Right.
don't make the game more complicated than it is. Because he does, I'm sure he has, yeah, like he's asking autographs. If I was on campus, I'm not asking for a picture, but that's Omaha Blue. Anyone from the state of Iowa, no, I mean, you're 6'8", and you were like all over TV last year. So, I mean, everybody knows who he is. He's going to stand out. So I think it's just, yeah, I mean, know what you are. Like, I mean, it's basketball, babe. Like, I mean, that's what he is. He loves basketball. He loves hoop. Just get in that mindset. Like, I mean, I can't remember what school it was, but I think it was maybe Auburn. It was like a post game interview, and he was like, "I'm not here to play school.
Jabari
Education,
Smith.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Education, super important. Not harping on it. Just go out there and play basketball. It's a game.
Right.
Like, I mean, don't make it any more complicated than it needs to be."
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think too, just like I think coming to the grips of knowing that pressure is not going anywhere.
Right.
So like what are you gonna do with it? You gotta put it in your back pocket and use it as fire at times, but also know when to like blow the candle out. You know what I mean? And I feel
And
like as he progresses through the season, I think he's gonna learn how to do that pretty easily. And I think too, coming off the bench, it may calm down the hype. And
right.
who knows? Maybe there's a huge method to TJ's madness of bringing him off the bench initially, because then it's going to be like it's kind of going to bring down expectations from fans naturally. So it's going to kind of take that pressure off of him. So
Right.
I think I think maybe this is a part of some big plan from the staff or whatnot. But I think it's going to work out in the end for him.
Also, I like Momcilovic playing this well. That also kind of takes some pressure off of him. And,
Yeah.
I'm still expecting Omaha to be a big playmaker for this team. But to have both those freshmen play really well, I mean, I think those two going against each other in practice, I would imagine they're guarding each other
Mhm.
throughout practice, throughout scrimmages. I think that will only help both of them increase their games. And I do want to talk about Nigel. I'm going to call this a Jazz Coons call. And I didn't see one last night, but essentially, it's a block charge. And if the person trying to take the charge, the defender, so one, he has to be the help defense. So usually a perimeter guard is cutting towards the basket. You have your big man like kind of step over and try to take a charge. So his feet have to be set by the time the offensive player is in the air. So a lot of times you'll see guys kind of set up and then they get, they start to move their body and they'll readjust while the offensive player is in air. So that used to be as long as you were steady when the contact was made, that would be a charge.
Mhm.
And now you have to be steady when the offensive player leaves the ground. So it doesn't sound like much of a difference, but that is going to turn a lot of charges into blocks now. And it's going to be, I don't know if they've really harped on that in practice in the offseason. Again, it kind of feels like something refs are going to call a lot in November and December. And then once February and March come, we won't see much of it. But that could be, I mean, Jazz Coons, good thing he graduated because that man was a legend at kind of readjusting last second and then taking a charge right on the chest. So
He'd be
it's going
like,
to be
"This is
interesting
all
to
I got,
see.
man. This is
Yeah.
all I got."
He was like, I'm out. They're changing that rule. I need to get out of here. He was like, that's
Well, and my whole big thing with the charge call, I get it. It's encouraged in college basketball because I think the refs get such a kick out of doing it. Like
yeah,
the action is just like so
making that call.
macho, and
Right.
it's just like this is about me,
Yeah.
And I think I heard Jay Billis say this, and it was a great take. He said that he doesn't think like the idea of a charge should change. So what they're trying to do right now is like change the idea of what a charge is.
Right.
He thinks the actual like sign for the charge should be a downward dog because it's just like it's emasculating, and I think people would be like, well, I don't really want to do this right now,
Right.
so keep
Refs
keep,
would
keep
stop
playing,
calling it.
keep playing, and I think too, like I I think that's half the reason. It's just like it's a show for everyone involved, and I think that's why the call is so popular. And then it honestly can change a game. I know
Right.
Kansas they won a game in the 2018 Elite Eight. They're playing Duke. Wendell Carter Jr. came out of the restriction box, feet were set, and Mason adjusted his body back into him,
Right.
and then that game, that call pretty much changed the momentum for Kansas. They ended up making the Final Four, so it can save or break a team. So I think that's going to be a game changer, and I just hope it doesn't affect our guy Tamin Lipsey because I know he's real good at he's a charge magnet. Really, he's real good. So
And again, like I think this, you might see more on ball charges. I mean, you might see Tamin Lipsey like at the 3-point line trying to draw a charge because you're probably more likely to get it out there now than you are just outside of the rim.
right, I am nervous though. Like if they want your feet completely set, you're naturally moving when you're sliding and guarding. So I feel like that call is already gonna like off the rip from that rule change. It's gonna be a block because your feet aren't technically set. Which is like, how are my feet supposed to be set if I'm playing defense?
Right. And the other thing is you don't know what that player, like you said, like Frank Mason changing his body last second. As a defender, it's really hard to anticipate what that guard is about to do with the ball. Like, I mean,
Right.
it's hard to guess which way he's going to lean or which way he's going to. So it's going to be tough. It's tough on the defender the other thing I always go back to, I'm not a huge fan of defenses taking charges. I think if Omaha goes straight up and has his wingspan up there, that's going to, affect a shot more than
Get out
trying
the
to draw
way,
a
first of
charge.
all. I don't know what you're doing trying to take a charge, bro.
Yeah, like that's what I mean, you have all the athletic gifts in the world. Just go up there and block that shot into the third row. And again, to me, that's a more exciting basketball play than taking a charges. So, in one hand, I'm kind of happy because I think that can really limit an offense, making exciting plays at the rim. And then two, I think make defense better. You won't be able to rely on that weak side defense coming over and trying to take a charge. So you really have to lock in at the perimeter. But that's to be seen. Again, I think that's a call that will kind of taper off as the season goes on because it'll be so hard to enforce. It's going to be led to a lot of instant replays and looking back, and so hopefully we don't see it much as Iowa State fans. Another thing I want to touch on quick is the 3-point shooting as a whole. How much do you think we can keep that up throughout the season? Do you think it's realistic to shoot even above 35% as a team?
Yeah, I think I think too, I know something that, talking to a few players in the past, I know it's tough to sometimes get into Hilton all the time to shoot.
Right.
And I know the depth perception compared to Hilton in their in Sioux Cup, just completely two different things. So I know that that plays a big part into it. And then I think if you can get a Hilton as much as you can as a player just to get shots up, I know it's hard to, balance with volleyball and other sports and other just events going on in the Coliseum. I think that'll help. Um, I also think too, just having confidence, like with Taman, I think it's just the ability to you need to want
Yeah.
to shoot well because we know you can shoot. You just got to do it, So I think um, if Milan continues to have this confidence that people have clearly instilled in him from the jump, but I mean, he kind of seemed to already have that because I saw in summer highlights. I mean, he was letting it fly, from the jump. So I mean, that's just his game. So I think a big thing too is for the young guys and the old guys too. Don't go away from what got you here. Like be you. And I think at the end of the day, they're going to be if with that mentality, they're going to be the best versions of themselves with TJ's help.
Yeah. And this team, I do want to stress, they're having fun. I mean, it's easy to have fun when you're winning by that much, when that many shots are falling. But I think I mean, chemistry at times has really bitten Iowa State like in the ass. I mean, that can really turn a season upside down. I think North Carolina last year, great team, but they had chemistry issues, and that can just
Hey, girls
derail a
on
season.
beaches. That's what they had.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like it doesn't take much for a team to come off the rails, and as long as you can be bought into each other and be playing as a team. I mean, these guys were clapping all night. Again, like I said, Caden Fish, like just jumping after loose balls up 40 with a minute left. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think if you get these guys playing for the right reasons, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. These guys like playing with each other. The other thing I was going to ask you, they tried to do this when I was a student too, striping Hilton, like red and yellow bisection, cardinal and gold bisection.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. We never do it well.
What they need to do, we have honestly too, Hilton with a blackout would be insane.
Yes.
It would be
Yeah.
insane. I'm just thinking about it. But the colorways we have, you got to just do a colorway and then the out. Everyone wears
Right.
the same color.
Yeah. We've done whiteouts well. We've done all cardinal games. And two, I think, my opinion, hard to pull off yellow as a grown man. It's not a great
I don't know.
look.
It complements my skin pretty well. So
Okay.
that's
Well,
a tough take.
to me, yellow is not one of my go. I would much rather wear a black sweatshirt than a yellow sweatshirt. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Um,
I don't know, man. I think I think the sections, I mean, if that's the case, you need to have a shirt, kind of like the NBA does in the playoffs.
right.
Like Miami used to do this a bunch when
Put it
D
on the
Wade and
chair.
LeBron were there. You have a shirt on the chair. So it's like you're almost forcing the people to wear it and they feel kind of implied to wear it. Sometimes they still don't wear it. But I mean, again, I think what made Miami look so cool was that it was a whiteout.
Yeah.
That color complements the floor. I think given that we have similar colors to the Miami Heat at times, I think whiteouts are probably our best bet, but
Yeah.
very intrigued to see, if we want to make a statement to any Big 12 team, I'm thinking maybe Kansas or Texas. Because after seeing yesterday, Kansas State just doesn't strike fear in my heart, but that's
Wow.
just me. I think you save a blackout for one of those games
Yeah.
because it's going to be their funeral. I think that's the narrative we need to start creating. And I think if Jamie Pollard hears this, that's got to be we gotta get on that.
Yeah. All black. It's a funeral. Show up and take care of business. I love the kill chant. That was kind of something that was introduced. It's like after 3 possessions without a basket, they start chanting kill.
Yeah,
That's just scary. I mean, that's just like
it is
terrifying. Have like a bunch of crazy 20-year-olds chanting kill. I mean, that is
It's
kind
very
of
Children of the
intimidating.
Corn-esque, and the
Yeah.
fact that we're in Ames, it's fitting.
You're in a Coliseum just getting kill chanted at you. That's tough.
It's Gladiator-esque.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. But
Yeah.
hey, it's college basketball, and I think just the overall excitement of just not only is Iowa State basketball back, but just you get to see the brutality of this sport and the parity that comes with it every day. I think there was a lot of upsets yesterday,
Yeah.
from both the men and women's side.
Right.
Two of the biggest ones were Michigan State losing to James Madison, and then Isaiah Collier and USC beating Kansas State. Which is why I had my Kansas State take earlier. Do you think this is an epitome to does it give you more confidence for a team like Iowa State to make a deeper run, seeing that these talented teams already from the jump are losing?
I mean, too, I think it is. I'm not harping on Izzo or Tang here, but just getting your guys ready for that first game. It was clear to me from the jump that like we were ready to go out and win that game by 40 points. And Michigan State, especially USC, is going to be a good team, but James Madison. I mean, if you're not ready to go at home for your season opener, that's tough. I mean, you are going to lose a game to a team like James Madison, who will probably do fine in the Sun Belt. I'm not super familiar with that team, but I mean, it's easy if you're not up for your first game. Those are easy to lose, and you see bye games all the time. Some team, they're like, we got to play Idaho State. It's 20 degrees outside. This sucks. You're gonna lose that game.
Right.
And there's so much talent all around the country now at these small schools that it's any game, any given night you can lose. So, yeah, you gotta keep your head on a swivel. Michigan State was probably my pick to win the Big Ten this year, but if I mean,
Really?
Izzo can't, I don't trust Purdue. Zach Edey, I don't know.
I don't trust him in the tournament. I trust him in the Big Ten play.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the Big Ten post players are down too. Chase Jackson Davis is gone. Dickinson's at Kansas, so he'll be fine. But if you don't have a great backcourt, you're kind of limited, and I think that's
Mhm.
where Purdue is. And I thought Michigan State, they have returning guards that are seniors. That's what you expect to win games, and
Right.
they didn't look great. And then Kansas State, USC, Isaiah Collier, I think is as good as
He's the
advertised.
truth.
He's the truth. I mean, he's a pit bull out there. So that's a tough game, and it's where they play in Las Vegas. Like it was a weird game to begin with. So
It's a season opener, but it's not. You know what I
right,
mean?
but
It's
then
like it's like if you have to start your year off for the Champions Classic, and it's
right,
like those fan bases travel, given that they're blue bloods, but like it's just not the same as
yeah,
like playing at that home arena. And I think that's an advantage that Iowa State has every year is just the ability to you're going to open up that season in front of Hilton Coliseum, and I
right,
think that can be really motivating. And I think for a guy like Milan too, he's a Wisconsin kid. I mean, he's playing
yeah,
Green Bay. He
right,
probably played those kids in high school, and
yeah.
it's a personal game for him. And I think his play backed it up. So shout out to Milan. Great game, great outing, and I think that's only going to continue.
Um, we got a game on Thursday. Any last thoughts, final thoughts on the season opener?
Um, I think we got to just keep doing what we're doing. I don't think we have to be too worried about guys' stats right now.
Right,
I think just having the depth, the offensive depth that we have this year is going to help us later on. So I don't want to get too out of pocket with making early statements and whatnot. I think
right.
this is a team you gotta ironically let cook. You gotta preheat the oven, and hopefully by January we're in full swing. So I think against Linden, I think the huge thing that Iowa State needs to do is not lay down. I think with an underwhelming out of conference schedule, I think you can tend to do that and not come into games with the best energy. So keep that energy level at an all-time high, and we need to rely on guys like Conrad and Cade to be that locker room morale to pump guys up. I think they're going to be all right, and I think they'll be good going into January.
So this Thursday we got Lindenwood. The Lions lost to
Mhm.
Nebraska last night, 84-52.
Shout out Fred Horberg.
Yeah, they should be all right. I think
Mhm.
Nebraska, they got that shooter from Japan. I always
Hoiberg's son's nice too. He's good.
Yeah. So I think they'll be fine. I would hope we're a little bit better than Nebraska. I'm not expecting a huge fight from Lindenwood.
Mhm.
What I most want to see is how Omaha responds to kind of a disappointing debut. I really want him to get comfortable out there and to have a game where he feels like he gets his footing under him. And maybe it's not Lindenwood. We have a lot of these non-conference games early on where I feel like he'll have the opportunity to play 20 minutes, score 10 points, 7 rebounds, and kind of make his appearance on the scene. That's probably what I'm most looking forward to next. Because we got, what, 2 weeks until we play.
Where are we
Uh,
going for Thanksgiving? Do you know?
Say it again.
Where are we going for Thanksgiving? Do you know? Because I know it's not Maui's next year.
I think it's somewhere in Florida. I want to say Orlando,
Okay.
but I'm not 100% on that. Also, I feel like, am I just blind? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong roster. That would explain why. But yeah, so basically, from here until Thanksgiving, um, it's Idaho State, it's Grambling, and then we have VCU. So VCU will kind of be our first test. DePaul looked shaky last night. Again, this
Hey,
non-conference.
VCU lost to McNeese last night, though.
Did
So
they?
yeah.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
All
So
right. Well, hopefully we can pick off the Rams in Orlando.
hey, I hope Hassan takes it personally. I hope
Yeah.
he does his old fellows dirty.
Yeah, a little revenge game for Ward.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. I do want to shout out before we get out of here. We got a bunch of support online after the first episode, and I just want to thank everyone for listening. Nigel, I know I got, I don't know, 30, 40 Twitter followers, and it was just cool to see, people interact with us. If you guys have questions, feel free to add us on Twitter. It was just a really cool experience to see the support and see the excitement for Iowa State basketball. And I think after that season opener, that excitement is doubled. So it's going to be a fun season. This is a really good team. This is exactly, maybe even exceeded expectations with that first game. I thought we were going to be good on offense, but this exceeded at least my expectations for what we were going to be like.
Yeah, I mean, if Curtis Jones hits those 5 threes, we might break 100 and then
Yeah.
hold the team to 40 points.
Right.
So, sky's the limit for this team, man. I'm excited. I'm excited for college basketball. I do have one hot take.
Okay.
And because it's a Cyclone platform, I feel like I'll be supported by this.
Okay.
Now, as you know, I cover LSU women's basketball. Took a hard L to Colorado last night.
Sure.
I did not like the response from the media in Iowa. And I know a lot of you people personally. You guys are great people. But I just could not let this one slide. I mean, because the angle they took was like, LSU lost. Okay, cool. They lost. But they also tried to throw in that Iowa's women's team, which this is no disrespect to Caitlin Clark, she's a great player. Nonetheless, they tried to flex a first win game against FDU. And we're just not playing the same game here.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the best take. I don't know if that's the best angle to hit. Like, if you want to talk about Iowa's monster win against FDU, have at it. Go crazy.
Right.
Just give me all the stats. Give me the box score. But we don't keep us out of it. All right. Cause you don't, it just sounds like the jealous ex-girlfriend that's mad that they got mollywopped back in April by 30 points, and for LSU, if this doesn't wake the team up or set a fire under a team that talented, I don't know what will. I'm sure Kim Mulkey probably threw a heel at somebody in the locker room and, just put her foot down. I think they're going to turn around pretty quickly. But I did not like that from the Iowa media. I can already tell what type of season it's going to be. We're being petty from the jump. So let's keep that energy in April. That's all I got to say on the women's side. But nonetheless, I just want to get that off my chest.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of that throughout the year. South Carolina and LSU, I think, are going to catch a lot of strays from people in the state of Iowa this year, for better or worse.
Yeah. Did you see after South Carolina won, they met up at half court, took a picture, and South Carolina's point guard, I don't know her name, but she threw up some gang sign, and Dawn swatted her paper at her. And, it went viral. It was hilarious, but it was Dawn's doing a great job protecting that brand. So shout out to her.
Yeah, Dawn runs a tight ship down there in South Carolina. She's
no tomfoolery.
And they looked real good last night. I think South Carolina is going to be again a top 3
They'll be
team.
back.
So yeah, hey, super excited about the season. Keep us posted. I mean, you kind of have a cool perspective down there. If you see anything in SEC country come basketball season, by all means.
Right.
Man, but Iowa State, great win, great game. Excited for Thursday, and just what more is to come this season. So again, I think sky's the limit. I really do. This team, they're legit, man. They're a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's only going to get better from here. And I think too, a game like yesterday, I know Omaha's a gym rat. He probably went to Sioux Cup right after the game, got some shots up, and that's what this team needs. They need a Mario Shayok. Mario Shayok was like his thing was he was in the gym every day, even in his redshirt year. he was in the gym every day. And I think, you want to be able to be a good shooting team. That's the key to success, is just work. So
Yep.
I'm excited for Thursday, and we'll get back to you guys, I guess, after that.
I do want to shout out, we are not in the Wild Rose Casino studio, but still shout out to our sponsors, Cody Road. Let them cook. Let this team cook. Let us cook. Always a pleasure to chop up ball with you, Nigel. Any last shots before we put this one to bed here?
With the holiday season approaching, I know you're a big Nets fan. So I have a lot of stickers on my water bottle. I have this one of James Harden. He's ironically cooking.
There you
And
go.
I have a Brooklyn Nets one for you that I'm gonna mail to you.
Okay.
So that's gonna be my Christmas gift to you. So
Hey, go Nets. Go Nets, baby. Cam Thomas.
oh yeah,
Ain't shit funny.
LSU Tiger.
Yeah, people forget. Hooper.
Let's
All
go.
right. Let them cook. See you guys.